All right, we got a couple short videos here from the Russian Ministry of Defense. The first is talking about their relatively new rocket launcher called the Tornado. And the second, we're going to be looking at the employment of rocket launchers on the battlefield, specifically the Russian BM-27. I'll put a link to both of these videos in the description below. Now, this one was described by Russia as footage taken from the war in Ukraine. I don't know for sure, hard to tell from what we're seeing right here. So the Tornado was designed as kind of a lightweight, modular rocket launcher, somewhat similar to the US HIMARS. There's really two variants. The Tornado G, a little bit smaller, carries fewer rockets, built more on the back of a truck platform, kind of looks a lot like a HIMARS. And the Tornado S, what we see here, a little bit bigger, carries more rockets, and looks pretty similar in a lot of ways to the BM-30 Smerch. Now, these Tornadoes can both carry 122, 220, or 300 millimeter rockets. I know a big question when it comes to these weapon systems is range. So technically, Russia has a 300 millimeter guided rocket that can reach out to 120 kilometers. As a comparison, the United States Mike 3-1, the traditional GPS guided rocket fired out of the HIMARS, has a range just past 90 kilometers. Now, I'm not going to include the Mike 5-7 ATACMS in that comparison because at that point you're kind of talking about land-based missile systems. Russia has those as well, just not, at this point at least, built into the Tornado platform. Second video we got here is showing a BM-27 Uragan, fires 220 millimeter rockets, usually unguided, does have guided options as well, out to a range of 35 kilometers. What we're seeing here at the beginning is the reloading process, and that can take quite a while, at least compared again to the US HIMARS. They're loading one at a time here. The HIMARS, really what they do is drop a pod, pick up a new pod that's fully loaded, and move on out. Now, once a launcher is loaded, they traditionally move into what's known as a hide site, essentially a place with enough cover to where they're not going to be spotted while they wait for a fire mission. Ideally, that hide site is relatively close to at least a couple different firing points, maybe a couple kilometers in either direction. Firing points are determined by things like how flat the land is, making sure there's no trees in the line of flight of the rockets, and that there's enough cover nearby so after the mission is complete, the launchers can sneak back off, hopefully without being detected. Launchers generally don't share hide locations. They're typically a couple kilometers apart from each other, but they could share firing points. So what you might see when a fire mission is called is launchers leaving their respective hide sites, converging on one firing point, executing that mission, and then all going their separate ways again, either back to their original hide site or off to a new one. Finally, for maximum survivability, these launcher crews could be out there alone and unafraid, bouncing from one hide site to another, executing fire missions as they go, only periodically linking back up with some larger force for a resupply or to pick up more ammo.